Back to the news now that the gambling company William Hill has received a record fine of more than £19 million after regulators found a series of failings over issues including social responsibility. It is the second substantial fine issued by the Gambling Commission in the past week, and there are warnings that licences will be revoked if things do not improve. Well, joining me now are Liz and Charles Ritchie, co-founders of the charity Gambling with Lives, whose son died from suicide as a result of online gambling. Good to see you both this afternoon on Sky News. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk about this huge fine in a moment. But first of all, perhaps Liz, you could remind us what happened to your son.
Well, Jack started gambling on fixed odd betting terminals while he was at school in sixth form. He and a large group of his friends used to go out during their lunch hour and gamble with their dinner money. And Jack became addicted quite quickly. I mean, these machines really are the crack cocaine of gambling. He told us, and then Charles went round the bookies and self-excluded with him, and then he started gambling online. We actually think that he probably started with William Hill. So William Hill will have been the company that started his online addiction that he eventually died from. And he was gambling with William Hill off and on during the 7 years that he was struggling with an addiction. And he was free for many months at a time. I mean, he was a definition of a responsible gambler in terms of the industry language, which is just nonsense. And eventually it killed him. And he really struggled, and he really made a lot of his life. You know, he was teaching English abroad when he died, and he had been free for many months, and then he will have got some promotion. He was actually gambling with a company called Bet Victor at the point that he died. So, you know, it isn't just William Hill. This is the business model of the whole industry. Yeah,
we've been hearing, haven't we, that other big companies have had fines as well recently, just not quite as big as this one. And Charles, when you hear that one customer was spending £23,000 in just 20 minutes, another £32,000 in 2 days, does it make you feel that all the good work you're doing, all the campaigning that you're working so hard at, is for nothing?
No, I mean, I think what we do face is an industry where their very basic practices are appalling. It is a business model which is built on addiction. You have 5% of profits, 90% of profits coming from 5% of customers if you take out the national lottery. You know, abuses of the scale you're talking about there are commonplace. I mean, I imagine that most members of the public will look at this and think this is extraordinary, this is appalling. These are stories that are happening every day. But I think it is really important to think about the harm which isn't measured in the number of zeros that somebody has lost. Behind each of those losses is a person, is a real life. We lost our son. Jack never was losing those sorts of amounts every day. He only lost that probably during the course of his life. This is a serious mental health condition that companies are giving to absolutely ordinary, normal, happy people. You know, gambling addiction can happen to anyone.
So, Liz, I suppose the question is, this record fine, more than £19 million, do you think it will make a difference? Do you think it'll change the habits of companies like this, knowing that these sort of fines could be around the corner?
I'm afraid I don't know. And I think it's about time that the Gambling Commission really woke up to the fact that we're dealing with, as Charles said, we're dealing with a health condition. It's a health condition that is very serious, that people die from, that is deliberately given to people by products that are deliberately engineered to cause this illness. That's the point. It's still seen as business. And the problem is that these companies build this into their business model. It's a cost of business, these fines. And until we've got a duty of care for the public, or until people actually named individuals in companies are given that responsibility, or until we properly see a licence revoked. I mean, the Gambling Commission can revoke licences. Why on earth has that not happened this time?
Well, they
I think it's
say
really worth noting that actually 888 bought William Hill's knowing that this fine was in the pipeline. I think William Hill's had put aside 15 million. That didn't prevent them from buying this as a business. They see this as a highly profitable business. As Liz says, the 19 million, okay, it's big, but it's a cost of business. We'll carry on. And until their business model changes, you will have these abuses. So you have to have licenses revoked at some stage.
After Jack died, we actually went to see William Hill, the company, at their offices and to talk to them. The CEO refused to see us. We saw the person who was responsible for responsible gambling or something like that. That was their title. As soon as we started talking about anything that would affect their profit or their business model, we were shown the door very smartly, as though we were somehow infectious. You know, we really were. They were quite rude, really. So, you know, this was 4 years ago, 3 years ago, that we actually went to see them. We said, you are causing deaths, that nothing has changed. We're still in our charity getting a large number of people who are families who are referring who have lost somebody to gambling related suicide.
And we really hear and feel your pain, Liz. And we did put that question to the Gambling Commission today. We said, why didn't you revoke the licence? And they said, well, it's because under new ownership, they've implemented new policies, new systems and new attitudes. What do you say to that, Charles?
If you look back to the fine of Mr. Green back in 2020, which is owned by William Hill's, we had the same set of words. We had the same set of that they are improving, they are making things better. We and other campaigners see on a daily basis that things aren't changing. The Gambling Commission really has to get real and take proper action. You know, warm words and complying once you've been found out really just doesn't cut it.
OK, well, we appreciate your time very much this afternoon. You have our condolences, of course, over the loss of Jack, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you for having us.